Hello guys. Welcome again to this channel. This is Rise with Gladys Mothoni. This is the place where we learn, we practice, and we grow. And I'm back again today with amazing content for us to learn from. And today we'll be learning on the topic of sin is too expensive. Um, when the consequences of sin are too expensive. And one of the things I love about the Bible is that the Bible tells us of these characters who are very great. And it tells us of their achievements. So many people in the Bible, we are told of their achievements. But also, the Bible does not shy away from telling us the mistakes and the weaknesses of these people. And one of the reason I think the Bible does this is so that we that have come as the after generation from those people, we don't have to learn by our own mistakes. We can pick that history and learn from them so that we don't have to go through the same experience. You know, they say experience is a good teacher, but I think history is even a better teacher when you don't have to feel the pain and the direct infliction of that thing on you, and you can learn it from somewhere else. So we don't have, sometimes we will learn by experience, but we don't always have to learn from experience. We can learn from history. And so today I'll be looking at this one man, David. David is a great man, and we know a lot of his achievement. But today I want to look on one of the weaknesses that the Bible talked about David. And David, it's in the book of Second Samuel, chapter 11. And this was the time, it was on summer, and it said it's the time when kings went out for war. So at this moment, David had already settled in his kingdom. We know that before David rose into the place of kingship, it was a real struggle, consistently running away from Saul, who was pursuing to kill him. So now David has ascended into kingship, and his kingdom looks like it's in order. It's a place of success for him. And so this one day, he sent his soldiers out, Joab and the rest of the army, to go for battle. But as for him, he remains in the palace. And this is one of the things that we note, that in our times of success, this was a time of success for David. We should be very careful, because there are things called pitfalls of success. When you are at that peak where that job you are praying for has come, that business that you're praying for so that it can work, it has come, your family seems to be doing good, you are at the peak of your life. It's also a place for us to be careful, because we can fall when we are at our peak. And Apostle Mishak Mbugwa, who is my spiritual father, has done sermons. I will link the link down below. He has done sermons on the pitfalls of success, that when we are at our peak, sometimes if we are not careful, those can be places where we can also fail or forget our faith. So David does not go out to battle. He just sends other people, and he remains in the palace, just enjoying himself and enjoying the breeze and the quietness of the palace. So as he was on that palace, he saw a woman bathing on the other side. Her name was Bathsheba. So Bathsheba was the wife to Uriah. And David could not help it. He saw how beautiful that woman was. And all he thought about was, how can I sleep with this woman? So he sends his servants to go and get the woman, and he sleeps with her. So Bathsheba gets pregnant. And because Bathsheba is pregnant, she comes and tells David, you know what? Now I am expecting your child. So David wonders, now how will I cover up for this sin? And this is the point to note. When the devil presents a sin to you, he doesn't present the bad side. He always presents what is appreciable to your eyes. He presented the beauty of the woman, but did not show you. He will not tell you, if you sleep with this woman, there will be consequences. It's a bait. He only shows you the good side. So now David is trying to cover up for his sin. And because he's trying to cover up for his sin, he sends for Uriah to come back home. And the reason he was sending for Uriah, who was one of the soldiers who had gone out to battle, to come back home is that he wanted Uriah to come and be with his wife so that it would look like this pregnancy is for Uriah. But Uriah seems to be this committed soldier that even when he came back, he refuses to go back to his house. He slept at the doorstep of the king for the whole night, and he said that he cannot go and enjoy and have a good time with his wife while other men are outside trying to defeat the enemy. So David sat and thought, what am I going to do to get this man to go and be with his wife so that it can look like, the pregnancy is his. So the next day he gives alcohol to Uriah so that Uriah would get drunk and go back to his wife. But Uriah, that alcohol does not seem to change his decision. Uriah still sleeps at the king, so that doesn't work. So now David started to figure out, how will I how will I get out? How will I get myself? How will I clear my name? How will I get myself out of this? So now he sends Uriah with a letter back to the battle, and Uriah carried a letter that contained his own life risk, but did not open it. What a faithful servant that he carried that letter, took it back to Joab, and the letter read that Uriah should be put in the front line of the battle so that if they are ambushed by the enemy, then he will die in the battle. And actually that happened, and so Uriah was killed in the battle, and now David took Bathsheba as his wife. Now, many people do things thinking that now I can get out of it. People haven't known my name has been cleared now. There's no husband. I can take her in to look like maybe she got pregnant after I've taken her in. But there's God in heaven who is watching. So God was watching all this. And so God sent his prophet Nathaniel. Sorry, it's not Nathaniel, Nathan. God sent prophet Nathan to David to go and tell him of this sin that he had done. And so because of this, this was the punishment that was given, the consequence for this sin. It's in 2 Samuel chapter 12. It says, now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says, out of your own household, I am going to bring calamity on you before your very eyes. I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. This was the consequence. What a heavy consequence. Just as we had said, when the devil presented the opportunity for David to commit adultery with Bathsheba, he did not tell him, these are the consequences that are going to take place after you do this. You get yourself into trouble. No, he just presents the bait. This woman is beautiful. There is no one watching, so you can just have her to yourself. And this is what happens in our lives. When he's presenting that illegal business deal, when you have that one chance to do something evil, you don't see the whole picture. He just shows you the part of the picture that is favorable to your eyes and favorable to your ears, but doesn't show you how bad it's going to get if you do that one thing that is favorable to your eyes and favorable to your ears. So this was the punishment of David, and we see it manifesting. Now, David had a son with his first wife, who was called Amnon. You can follow this story. It's in the next chapter, chapter 13. There's also another story, chapter 14. We're just going to touch on it to see how far the consequence for this one sin went. So now Amnon, David had many wives. So one of the wives had Amnon, then another wife had Absalom and Tamar. Tamar was a girl, Absalom was a son. So there is wife A and B. Their names are mentioned. And so Amnon began to like his stepsister Tamar. And now he didn't know, how am I going to get her to be with me? So his friend advised him, no, what you're going to do, pretend that you're sick. And the only person that you want to be served by is your sister Tamar. And then when she comes to you, you're just going to take advantage of her. And that is what Amnon did. So he pretended he was sick, and he asked his father that the only person that he wants to be served by so that he would feel better was Tamar. And so Tamar came, served him, and he took advantage of her. Now, after he took advantage of her, his punishment was supposed to be death. You know, the law says anyone who would take advantage of a virgin, he was supposed to be killed. But now David had already lost his voice. In this area of purity, David had lost his voice because he himself had committed sin in that same area. So he was not able to order for his son to take the punishment. And because the son did not take the punishment, Absalom, who was now the blood brother, not step brother. Amnon is the step brother. Amnon and Tamar were from one mother. Absalom and Tamar were from one mother. So Absalom from that day was very bitter. You know, I've watched you humiliating my sister, and the person who has humiliated my sister has not been punished as he's supposed to be punished. So Absalom seemed to have harbored this thing in his heart, and he had his own strategy on how he was going to, avenge himself. So Absalom stays for long. Then one day, he tells his father, I'm holding this party. Can you guys come over? Then we are going to have a good time. But he has an evil plan behind his mind. So his father was not able to go, but the rest of his brothers went to that party. And when they were at that party, they all got drunk. And then Absalom ordered his men, when Amnon is high on alcohol, please just stab him to death. So Amnon is killed by Absalom. You see how it's trickling down? Now David has lost a son, Amnon, because he lost his command in this area. So after Absalom killed Amnon, now he couldn't stay in the kingdom. He had to run away and go and hide. So he runs away to Geshur, goes and hides for some years. Then after some years, things cool down. Joab was one of the men in the army of David, talks to David and tells David, it's time you forgive this guy, let him come back. So Absalom comes back to the kingdom. But still, he doesn't feel like he has avenged himself enough. He still has another plan of how he's going to, avenge himself. So every day we are told Absalom would go to the gates of his father, the king. And what he was trying to do is to turn the hearts of the people to himself, to turn the hearts of the people from the king to himself. So he stood there at the gate, and what he would do when people would come to report their cases, he would greet them and then tell them, you guys, I know you have, your cases are genuine. Your cases, if I look at them, they have ground. But in this palace, there's no one to listen to you. You see, if I was elected judge, I would listen to you. So all this time, he took like 4 years doing that. So all this time as he was doing that, he was turning the people against the king and to himself. He has a secret plan of overthrowing his father. And so he continues with the plan. After 4 years, he tells his father, I need to go to Hebron and make a sacrifice. I had promised I would make a sacrifice to God there. So please allow me to go. Then when he goes, he has his army, he has his men, and now he's trying to overthrow his father. And in those days, if someone overthrew the king, one of the things that you would do is that you would sleep with the concubines of the king. And that's where this thing was, the consequence we had read was fulfilled. That consequence of, this is what the Lord says, out of your own household, I'm going to bring calamity on you. Before your very eyes, I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you. So as Absalom was trying to overthrow the government of his father, he slept with all the concubines of the king in broad daylight, just as it had been said. But now David was in covenant with God, and God protected him. His kingdom was not overthrown. It's a very interesting story of how Absalom was not able to win. There was this man who was the counselor. His name was Ahithophel. He was so good at his counsel, but because God wanted to protect David, he made Absalom not listen to the counsel of Ahithophel. He frustrated the counsel of Ahithophel. So Absalom followed another advice, and because of that, he lost. And if you follow, Ahithophel was a grandfather to Uriah. So also Ahithophel is in this plan because he still feels that he wants to avenge himself. And when Absalom did not take his advice, Ahithophel went and killed himself. You can see how many people are dying because of one mistake, that David saw Bathsheba and slept with her. Uriah is dead, Amnon is dead. Bathsheba also lost that child whom she was carrying. Bathsheba's firstborn is that child is dead. Then now Ahithophel is dead, and as Absalom is trying to overthrow him, he also died. He was on a horse. Then he had very long hair. His hair got caught on one of the trees, and then Joab came and stabbed him to death. So also Absalom died. You can see how expensive sin is. Just one sin has led to so much. Of course, those people who died had their own contribution to that, because Absalom would have chosen to allow God to avenge for him, but he decided to take the matters in his own hands. Somebody like Ahithophel would have forgiven David and maybe let God deal with him, but he took the matter into his own hands. But we can see that all this is trickling down from that one sin that David committed. Tamar lived a devastated life, because her brother had taken advantage of her. So you see, it is very, 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 very expensive. And as we are seeing this storyline, it is for us to learn from it, that as you make that one choice, in our community today, even this sin of adultery is on a high level. Young girls going with older men, because of money, or you feel like that situation is convenient for you. You want to get into that business. It's illegal, but you feel like it's convenient to your eyes for the moment. You want to do that thing that is the devil is presenting to you, because it looks convenient. But one thing he doesn't do is that he doesn't show you the whole picture. It is more painful, it is more expensive than you are willing to pay for. So this is to teach us that we should embrace the word of God and allow God to help us. We are helped by God. I know in my next video I'll be looking at the state of a fallen man. We have weakness. We are not able to keep the law of God, but God gives us the opportunity to believe in Jesus Christ and take up the righteousness of Jesus Christ, so that we become the righteousness of God. So sin is super, super, super expensive, and it's a bait of the enemy. So I hope you have learned from this video, and I hope that it can help you. It can reach to someone who was about to make that bad decision, but look at different people in the Bible and see how much one decision would cost so many, many, many people. So that is all for today. Until next time, bye bye. And if you have not subscribed, please hit that subscription button, and also click on the notification bell, so that whenever I post a new video, you'll be notified, and we will get to continue to learn and to grow together. Let's also interact in the comment section. Tell me what you learned. You can also share with me your own experiences. I'll be happy to hear from you. So till next time, bye bye.